up? My name is Joss and welcome back to Squibbles Reads. I am visiting Brittany from Under the Radar Books. A couple of days ago, I posted on Twitter saying that we were going to be doing a collab with personalized book recommendations similar to the Get Booked podcast, which is hosted by BookRiot. Basically what they do is they have readers email them and ask them for personalized book recommendations. So they tell them what kind of genres and what their favorite books are. The people at Get Booked give them recommendations. So that is what we are here to do today. We have a total of, I think, 4 questions, so we're going to give a few recommendations for each one. So let's get started. Okay, so the first question we got is from Stephanie. She says that she loves horror and books that deal with family drama or family secrets, and her favorite books are 100 Years of Solitude, House of Leaves, and East of Eden.
Okay, so I took the reins on this one because me and Stephanie have extremely similar book tastes. So the first one that I chose is actually one that I am seriously dying to get. And it is Roses and Rot by Kat Howard. And so this book follows 2 sisters who get sent away to this prestigious art school. One is an artist and one is a dancer. They're obsessed with fairy tales and they start to realize that something at the school isn't quite right, and they start almost thinking and realizing that maybe their life is actually like a fairy tale. So it sounds very dark and kind of psychological, and it has family drama between the 2 sisters and a little splash of horror in there, so I really thought it would be something that Stephanie would enjoy. Next up is one that I have read and really loved, and that is Rooms by Lauren Oliver. Lauren Oliver is mainly a YA novelist. I think this is her first book in adult fiction, and it follows a family who inherits their, I think it's their father's or grandfather's house, old house. They come and move in, are kind of sorting through everything and deciding what to keep, what to get rid of, and they're going to sell the house, and they actually discovered that the house is haunted. But the coolest part is that there are perspectives from all the different family members as well as the ghosts that reside in the house, and it flashes back and forth between them. Definitely focuses a lot on what it takes to be human, tragedy, and family drama, so I really think this is one that Stephanie will love. Next, kind of touching on the East of Eden that she really enjoyed, I'm going to recommend Heart is a Lonely Hunter by Carson McCullers. So this is set in the 1930s in Georgia, and it follows a...
What am I doing? Keep going.
It follows a mute musician who is really struggling and aspires to leave the small town. And it follows kind of like this small town life and what that encompasses and different people in this community. And I've heard it recommended to people who love East of Eden, so this is why I picked it for you, Stephanie. And the last book is one I actually haven't packed up yet, which is good. And that is Bats of the Republic by Zachary Thomas Dodson. And Vanna. And I recommended this be based on your House of Leaves choice because it is a multimedia book. First of all, end papers. It has all sorts of like maps and documents, newspaper articles. It just seems like something really cool. I've heard that it is kind of like historical fiction meets dystopia. That's my last recommendation for you, Stephanie, and I hope that you enjoy these books. Yay!
Okay, so our second question comes from Judith, and she would like a book that discusses the challenges and struggles of someone who is trying to identify with 2 cultures. The first book that I'm going to suggest is The Book of Unknown Americans by Cristina Henriquez. This one is about the Rivera's family who is moving from Mexico after their daughter Mirabel gets into a near fatal accident. They move to America and they struggle a lot with the changes in race, culture, and language after they move to America. There is also a boy who she meets who is a high school sophomore, and he is from Panama, so we also see their 2 cultures interact in the United States. The second book that I'm going to recommend is actually my BookTube Recommends TBR pick for the month of May. And this is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. It's about a Chinese-American family called the Lees. They live in 1970s Ohio. One day, their daughter's body shows up in the lake, and we see their struggles through getting through the crime and also just their family life with the interaction of Chinese and American cultures. The third book I'm going to recommend is Trail of Broken Wings by Sejal Badani. This is about a woman named Sonia who is Indian American. She lives in the States, but her father is very, very sick, so she has to go back home. She has 2 other sisters. Throughout her father being sick, a whole bunch of family secrets are revealed, and a lot of these have to do with race, and she is really struggling with her own identity being Indian American in America. So those are the 3 that I'm going to suggest for you, Judith. The third question question we had to enlist a little bit of help from because neither of us are high fantasy connoisseurs. This comes from Julia, and Julia talks too much, and her favorite series is the A Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin, and she wanted something similar to that with a lot of really great world building and character depth.
Okay, so the first recommendation we have for Julia is called Kushiel's Dart, and it is the first in a series. This is actually considered a fantasy like romance series, and I think it was Amanda from Amanda Center talked about this, and this is one of her favorites. But it deals with humans and angels and their interaction. I know that the main character is kind of sold into slavery or servitude or something, and it follows her struggles. I've heard that the world building is absolutely fantastic, and the characters are wonderful, really highly developed, and you just get really invested in them.
The next series that I'm going to suggest, I have not personally read it. I've taken it out from the library a couple times. The first book in the series is The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin, and it comes from the Broken Earth series. I've heard that this involves a lot of really, really good world building and a lot of just like interactions between the different characters, so there is that one too.
And the last one is also one in a series. It's the first one. It's called Mathago Wood, and the series also has the same name. This follows a man who his entire life is taking care of this deep, dark forest in a mystical land. Once he passes away, his sons inherit the forest and have to take care of it as well. This forest is absolutely massive, and it has lots of mystical creatures and things going on in it, and so lots of people enter it, never escape, kind of lose their mind and go crazy in this forest. So it follows their adventure, basically trying to become the new gatekeepers of this wood and what that all entails. So that is our recommendations for Julia.
Okay, so our last question comes from Mariana, and she really likes books that involve murder and messed up individuals.
Which is definitely in our
really
wheelhouse.
Right up our
really
alley.
good.
So the first book that I'm going to recommend her is The Woman Upstairs by Claire Massoud. It's about a 37-year-old woman who has gotten kind of jaded over the years, and she's also an elementary school teacher. She becomes obsessed with one of her students, and his name is Reza, but she also becomes obsessed with his parents, and she starts to fall in love with not one, but both of his parents. And it's kind of like a case study, but also involves Reza and his family. And our protagonist, who is the elementary school teacher, is all sorts of messed up. So definitely right
All
there.
sorts of crazy.
All sorts of crazy.
The next recommendation we have is Her by Harriet Lane. It follows two mothers who have young children. I think they're in kindergarten maybe. One of them is super successful and attractive and smart, and the other one kind of feels inferior, and they become friends. They basically create this almost cat and mouse kind of manipulative friendship, and I think it becomes very sinister. It just sounds really dark and psychological, and a really great option for Mariana to read.
All right, so we're going to do a last recommendation here, and this is called The Memory Box by Eva Lesko Natelio, and this is about a bunch of privileged women who live in suburbia, and they don't really have a lot to do with their time. However, what they do is they Google the names of the people in their town and try to unearth their secrets. So all of these women are very, very unlikable and cynical and really bored, but all of these people's secrets kind of come out through the book. Some of them involve killing people, some of them just involve really heinous crimes that these people have been involved in, so involving murder and messed up individuals. Alright, so that is it for this video. Thank you guys for joining us and sending us your recommendations. I will also leave a link to Brittany's channel in the down bar below if you would like to check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!
Bye!